Charlize Theron. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, welcome to BAFTA.
Thank you.
To this chance to talk about your life in pictures. So, we have to start just very briefly in South Africa, where you were born, and early dance training. Then, you know, pretty soon in your teens into modeling, thence to acting, I believe.
Yeah, I started ballet when I was around 4 or 5. I was very hyper as a child, and so my mom was just constantly trying to kind of hone in this crazy energy, because when I wasn't doing things in a controlled environment, I was, you know, scaling 6-foot walls and falling and climbing trees and constantly injuring myself. So my mom was very conscious of that and really kind of tried to put me in ballet and music and ice skating and sports and stuff like that.
So no formal training, no acting school of any kind, or?
No, I went to a couple acting classes when I got to Los Angeles, and I was also very lucky. I mean, I got my first job within 8 months, and so I think a lot of my training happened on the job. I had great teachers like Al Pacino, and I mean, it was just really, really lucky, like right from the beginning. I mean, the first film I did was with Danny Aiello and James Spader. It was just like, you couldn't ask for anything better than to work with James Spader on your first film. Like he'll like kick you straight into like understanding what the job is all about and what character and understanding character and pushing the envelope is all about.
Now, the first clip we're going to show is actually from Woody Allen's film Celebrity. You're playing a supermodel in this, but she's a supermodel with quite a lot going on. Not all of it good.
Yeah, this is not the kind of model I was.
Is it not?
By the way.
I'm a bit disillusioned, actually. But so we're going to see that in this scene. We're going to see you with Kenneth Branagh, who is playing a journalist who.
I love that man. Oh, I love that man so much. Oh.
So here he's playing this writer who's interviewing you, but is obviously very smitten by you as a supermodel. He's also channeling Woody Allen completely in this performance in a quite kind of almost spooky way. Anyway, let's see the clip from Celebrity.
I was just thinking that you are the most beautiful creature I've ever seen. I mean, every curve in your body fulfills its promise. If the universe has any meaning at all, I'm looking at it.
You're so sweet.
And you're perfect. Do you have any flaws? I'm agog.
Physically?
But anyway, because I mean, to me, I mean, you're a miracle. You know, because I don't usually drool in my date salad. I'm not usually like this, so
Well, I'm polymorphously perverse. It's not a flaw. It's just a weakness.
Polymorphously perverse meaning,
Meaning every part of my body is what gives me sexual pleasure.
Meaning,
Meaning every part of me gives me erotic pleasure.
And how sensitive does that make you?
Well, if you touch my thighs, my hands, my neck, my kneecaps, I'm orgasmic.
And where did you learn this?
It's Dionysian. Greek taught it to me. Now I can't get rid of it. It's not a flaw, just a weakness.
So, you know, if I, just to get this right, if I touch your hand, if I take it and I just stroke it, I would just stroke it like this. Oh my God. Okay, well, we should get out of here. I'll get the check. I'll just get the code, and we can take your.
Come on, guys. We're gonna go dancing. Let's go dancing.
Dancing? That's great.
No, I can't dance.
We'll dance.
Come on.
I can't dance.
Everybody can dance.
Well,
let's dance.
Yeah, I'll get the check. Oh my God, I know I've made a lot of blasphemous remarks and atheist jokes, and I have no right to ask for this, but that was just her hand.
So So were you sort of looking, and obviously you had this kind of strategy that you were going to try lots of different things. Were you looking for lots of different directors as well at the time?
Yeah, I think the first director I ever worked with, John Hertzfeldt in 2 Days in the Valley, he was so amazing because I think he made me understand how important the chemistry is between an actor and a director. And I think there's a lot of focus always put on actors having chemistry. I actually think chemistry with the director is way more important.
So how can you tell that? At what stage can you know whether you have chemistry with the director?
It's like, you know, when you fall in love with someone. It really is, it's exactly the same thing. There really is no one thing. It's also a moments of great leap of faith. And so it really is something that you either feel and you have to trust that that's what it is. And sure, sometimes you can be proven wrong. But I definitely, I think very early on, understood the importance of wanting to work with directors that inspire me, that I had the same taste of film. I think a lot of this stuff is taste-based. I mean, it's having the same taste as the people that you work with. And so somebody like Woody, I mean, I would have never, ever played a model or anything kind of like this character for any other director.
So then, I mean, the roles were by then, you know, coming pretty thick and fast, weren't they? And so you have things like Cider House Rules, and I mean, are there particular roles that stand out for you in that immediate period around sort of late 90s?
Yeah, I kind of back-to-back worked with a few directors that were very influential for me. One was James Gray. I did a film called The Yards with him, with Joaquin Phoenix and Mark Wahlberg, and he was really, he was an amazing director for me to work with because he was also one of the first directors, other than Taylor Hackford, who really fought for me. And it was an amazing experience to have somebody stand in your corner and say, no, she's not too pretty to play the part. That's bullshit. Like, she's an actress. Like, let's get past this obsession about what she physically looks like. And I remember he really went to bat for me with Miramax. And there was something that happened in that moment where I just felt like, I will jump off a building for this man. And then working with Lasse Hallström was amazing too, I have to say, on Cider House Rules.
Well, we're now coming to, I mean, one hell of a role, which is that of Aileen Wournos, the serial killer who was actually executed by lethal injection in 2002. And so you made the film. The film was then about 3 years after that. And this is the film that is going to get you an Academy Award and a Golden Globe and a BAFTA nomination as well. What was the first that you heard of the script or the part?
I just remembered my manager sitting down for lunch, and she said, I just read 5 pages of a script, and you have to do it. And I was like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? And she described the moment of this woman sitting under a bridge underpass on a freeway with $5 in a hand and a gun. And that image always stayed with me. And so I was intrigued, definitely. I then read the script and thought the script was really good. And then I saw Nick Broomfield's documentary, and panic set in.
Because she was such a complicated character?
Well, I think it was my first experience dealing with something that was so real. And I didn't quite believe that I was capable of doing it.
And there were obviously sort of physical things. You had to gain weight, and you had to get into that way of moving. And the clip we're going to see is just where Aileen Wournos returns to a character who's slightly fictionalized, who's the girlfriend who's got a slightly different name here, played by Christina Ricci, and she's deciding that she's going to get out of prostitution, and hopefully a bright new future awaits.
I quit.
What?
What your bag's doing here?
I'm staying.
Holy shit, girl, you just made my day. Mwah. How'd you get them, huh?
I took a cab. But Lee, you can take care of me, right? Because I spent all our money.
Shit, you know what? It don't even matter.
Wait, what'd you say? You quit?
Hooking. I quit hooking.
Why?
Why? Because I shit time, man. I fucking hate it.
I thought you said it wasn't that bad.
Well, it is, you know, not always, but it's not the point, Sal. I got you now. I got everything going for me. So I'm gonna do it up royal. This time I'm doing it up royal. How about that?
All right, but what are you gonna do about work?
Exactly. I'll get a job. Go clean. Straighten up, you know? Fuck it, man. I'll get a career. House, car, the whole fucking shebang, you know? How about that?
What kind of job are you gonna get?
I've been thinking about that. I was thinking maybe like a veterinarian, you know? Because I fucking love animals, you know?
Yeah. But that's a doctor. You gotta get a degree for that.
Whatever, man. You know? A business person, you know? Something like that. Shit, I know. I know what I always wanted to be.
What?
President of the United States.
Well, all right, Mrs. President.
I just haven't been feeling too good lately, you know? But I will, though, man. I'll be feeling great. Once I'm president and all, you know? Shit. And this is fucking celebration time. Oh, yeah, this is big.
I mean, and that whole question of the responsibility of playing a real person, presumably that was that the first time that you'd actually had to do?
Yeah. Nick sent me his documentary, and if anybody had seen the second documentary, it starts off with the first 5 minutes of her saying that she did it. She killed all of them, and she would kill again, and that none of it was in self-defense. And I was a day away from shooting this film. And then, of course, I realized that she's self-sabotaging her own appeal, that she's been on death row for 12 years, and she just wants to go. She just doesn't. But it was this moment of understanding that, you know, I spent 2 days reading all of her letters, and she talks a lot about these murders, and she talks about her circumstances in her life and everything. And it really was, I think it was after that I had to just make peace with the fact that I had done everything that I could possibly do, that I had to just trust in that.
I mean, there were some very dark periods in your own upbringing early on. Do you think that gives you particular insight to, or makes you perhaps a bit braver about tackling some of these things?
I don't know, right? It's like, I always have young actors ask me, you know, well, you know, my parents are still married and my life was so good and I don't have anything. And I don't think you have to come from great tragedy to be a great actor. I think it really is in a love and a passion and an understanding for the human condition. I think some people have a talent or a natural ability to kind of tap into those things. I feel like I have that.
Well, the next film we're going to talk about is North Country, which is a film about sexual politics in the sense that it was a very important case, very important sexual harassment case brought by this woman she's called Josie Ames. She wasn't actually called Josie Ames, was she? But she's
Lois
called
Jenkins. She was an amazing woman, yeah.
And she was working at a mine in North Minnesota, I think, where there was much bullying of the female workforce, and she kind of rallied everybody together.
Yeah.
And in the clip we're going to see, she's taking the complaint to the board, hoping there'll be some kind of resolution.
Don't wanna marry nobody.
Send her in, please.
If they already married. But if you do right, gentlemen, baby, I'll do right,
Miss Ames, sorry to keep you waiting so long. Please sit.
Gentlemen.
I asked some of my colleagues to sit in, if you don't mind.
No.
I believe you know Mr. Pavich?
Yes, I do. Mr. Pavich was the one who told me I had to take a day off work to come and see you.
Didn't want to waste your time, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's not a waste at all. Miss Ames has a problem, and we're going to solve it.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. That's really great. I didn't want to forget anything, so I wrote a couple of things down on a piece of paper here.
Excuse me, Josie. Do you mind if I call you Josie?
No.
I'd like to make this easier for you, if you don't mind. I already know what you're going to tell me. I've been well briefed.
Well, that's great. I just thought that maybe a few of
Please,
these...
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
Well, the current union contract requires that an employee provide us with 2 weeks' notice before leaving his position. However, given how obviously emotional this has been for you, we're willing to do something special in this case. We've decided to waive the 2-week requirement and allow you to tender your resignation effective immediately.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not resigning.
And Mr. Pavich will take care of the details.
I'd be happy to.
No. I'm not quitting. I need this job.
Well, then I suggest you spend less time stirring up your female coworkers and less time in the beds of your married male coworkers and more time trying to find ways to improve your job performance. Does anyone else have anything to add?
That says it.
Josie, thank you again for making the drive down here. Now, if you don't mind, we have other business.
But she did not give up.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I read the script the first time too, I was like, yeah, why doesn't she just get another job? There were no other jobs. I mean, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. It was around January or February, I went up there for the first time, and it was right after the Oscars. And I was sitting down with this miner, this woman who's a miner, and she's been working in the mines for like 20 years, and she knew of the case, and she was around when all of it happened. And so I'm asking her all these questions, and because of the Oscars, I had a manicure, so my nails were really pretty. And like mid-sentence, she just looked at my nails, and she just went, "That's not what your hands would look like." And it was just like this great word. It's like, oh, she just doesn't believe that I'm going to do this at all. And then she takes me into the mine, and there's this horrible chemical smell when you initially walk into these mines, and it's almost like an alarm, so that if there is a leak somewhere in the mine, you will smell this, and that's kind of how you know. So it's a really horrible smell. And so, of course, she just thought I was a total princess, because I'm just like covering my face and trying to not smell this. And I go, "Does that smell not bother you?" And she goes, "What? That smell? That's the smell of money."
Now, in contrast to films like North Country and Monster, there's also the action side as well. So you had things like Aeon Flux, and I mean, those are a laugh to do, are they? They're fun. They're kind of.
I don't know about a laugh.
No.
Aeon Flux was tough. I injured myself pretty bad on that film, and I'm kind of still carrying that injury in my everyday life. So I don't know about a laugh, but
okay, really hard work so that the rest of us can laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I almost broke my neck on that. I mean, I was actually almost paralyzed on that film.
What happened?
Yes, feel sorry for me.
Yeah, we do.
But I do like the physical stuff. I do like those films too. I kind of love. I'm not really set in a genre. I really love a lot of different films, and I like when interesting filmmakers kind of veer into that genre.
Because we're going to show a little bit of Hancock now, which is kind of a mixture of comedy and action and superhero all together. And all we need to know, I think, before we see this, is Will Smith is the kind of diner out who ends up near your household, and you're just suburban housewife tending a very nice house, married to Jason Bateman. And but Jason Bateman knows nothing about what you have been before.
Getting late. If Ray finds out about me, you're dead.
Well, that's one way to end a discussion, isn't it?
This clip, men just run now. Like, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life.
Very handy with the refrigerator.
Yes, yes, very.
I think it's the use of the white goods in there that actually gives the whole thing. It's real kind of drama.
I had a blast on that film. Oh my God, we had such a good time making that film. It was almost like it felt like it was wrong. How much fun we had on that film. I mean, you cannot be around Will Smith and not have a good time.
I wonder how important control over your career and over the kinds of films that you want to do has become, you know, particularly as you become more and more successful, because you have produced, haven't you, on a number of films. So Monster you were actually a producer on, and on Young Adults, the new film.
I'm actually not a producer on Young Adults, but my company produced it, co-produced it, yeah.
But you were also producer on Burning Plain as well, which is, you know, very interesting multi-strand kind of film from Guillermo Arriaga, who'd written Amores Perros and 21 Grams and also Babel as well. So, I mean, what attracted you to that particularly? Why were you committed enough to be producer as well?
I remember reading it and it just, I couldn't get it out of my head. It wouldn't leave me. And then I met Guillermo, who is just the loveliest, loveliest human being I've ever come to contact with. And I just knew I had to make that film.
And The Burning Plain has an interesting kind of time slip structure that is...
It's non-linear.
It's non-linear, but it's by the end you realise that it seems complex, but it's also kind of perfectly dovetails and...
he does that so well. Yeah. And people always ask me, was it edited? Did we discover that in the editing process? But he actually wrote it exactly that way. So he writes non-linear, which I just think is like... he's like somewhat of an idiot savant, I think, because I don't know anybody who could actually write that way, sit down and actually write a story in that non-linear way that he does.
So it deals with your character. It tends to be quite an unsympathetic character to begin with, but in the little excerpt that we're going to see, she's reconciled with her daughter, who she hasn't seen for a long time.
I'm really sorry I ran away like that yesterday. I didn't. You just... Maria, do you speak English? You're all grown up. I think about you all the time. Especially on your birthdays. Try to imagine what you look like. You're so beautiful. You know, you look just like your father.
My dad's in the hospital.
Why?
His plane crashed.
Is he okay?
I don't know.
He's a pilot.
He's a crop duster. You didn't know?
She's great, that young actress as well.
Amazing, yeah. She'd never done anything. Guillermo auditioned her, and I think he auditioned 2 girls, and then he just called me and said, I found her. And I was like, you know, there's about 50 more girls coming in. And he was like, no, I found her. He just knew. And also she was fluent in both Spanish and English. Yeah, she was really amazing.
So what was it about Jason Reitman, with whom you've made Young Adult, that made you want to work with him?
I heard that he pays his actors really well. So, look, I saw Up in the Air, and it was my favorite movie that year. it just really emotionally moved me in a way that a film hadn't done in a long time. And prior to that, I also really, really loved Thank You for Smoking. I'm a huge Christopher Buckley fan, and I loved what he did with that.
Now, the woman in Young Adult, she's quite a piece of work, but she's great. She is a great
That's a nice
character.
way of putting it.
The central premise is that she's going back to her hometown to do a bit of sort of high school reunion, but perhaps not in the way most people would.
A bit of breaking up marriage, a bit of, She, yeah. I mean, the first time I read it, I think is kind of, I felt the way I think you feel when you watch the movie for the first time. It's, unsettling and a bit nauseating, and just like these kind of cringeworthy moments. And the third act, not to give anything away, but the third act was really like what sold me. It's brilliant. Yeah, and I remember saying to Jason, I think the second phone conversation I had with him, I was like, if you can guarantee me that that end is not going to change, I'm in. And he said, look, that's not why I want to make the movie. I want to make the movie because of that third act.
Now, we're going to actually see a bit from a lot earlier in the film, where we're sort of still travelling with her as she arrives in the town. So we are almost sort of complicit in this awful journey where she's going to try and break up.
This horrible car crash that you just can't take your eyes off.
Going to try and break up her old boyfriend's marriage. And at the point where we see she's actually gone into a bar, and there she's actually greeted by somebody at the bar who claims to have been at school with her.
What?
Sorry, but I think we went to high school together.
At the same time?
Yeah, you're Mavis Gary?
Mavis Gary Crane now.
I'm Matt Freehoff. My locker was actually next to yours all through high school.
Matt. Freehoff, yeah. Yeah, your locker was right there. Right next to mine.
We didn't run in the same circles. You were pretty popular, if I remember correctly. You won Best Hair.
Did I? What did you win?
I didn't. They usually give out like 15 of those, and only to like the same 5 people.
Yeah. Well, listen, Matt, it was really nice seeing you.
Yeah, what are you doing back in Mercury? Or you moved back, or?
Of course not. Gross. No. I live in Minneapolis. I'm just here taking care of a little real estate thing, own some property, and...
I read in the Sun you're a writer.
Yes, I am an author.
Children's books.
YA. That's industry speak for young adult. It's a very popular teen series. It's everywhere. It's huge. You've probably seen it.
Vampires?
Those scenes with Patton Oswalt are really, really good. Great timing.
Oh, how delicious is he? Oh, I mean, I think the thing that was such a great discovery in the whole process of when we started making this film, we had a table read through, and it hit me that it really was a love story. This is a very unusual love story, but it is a bit of a love story, and it's a love story that starts to ignite, not because of two people discovering that they like the same things, but two people discovering that they hate the same things. And it was so twisted and wrong, and they're just such an odd couple, and you just can't see any of this ever working out, yet you just so want it to.
You've been here for a while now because you've been filming 2 films here.
Yeah.
One of which is Snow White and the Huntsman, which will appear, I think, next summer, in which you play the evil queen.
Well, they call her the evil queen, but I haven't worked for like 3 years, and then I went from the young adult to Prometheus with Ridley Scott into Snow White and the Huntsman that I'm doing right now, and they're all kind of how do you say, bitchy? This is my bitchy period. I'm getting it out of my system.
Yeah. And of course, the other thing is that one Snow White movie, and then another one comes along, where Julia Roberts is the evil queen.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to kill her. Yeah, we're gonna have to kill all of them, I think.
Well, look, I think it's time for some questions from the audience.
Hello. My question's got two parts, please.
No.
Has there been any spiritual things that's helped you get through your career, or things that have motivated you and helped you over difficult times? And then the second part would be, how does, because I understand you do a lot of outreach work and your charity work as well, how does that sort of motivate you and sort of what inspired you about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think spirituality is really important to kind of survive and get through life. But for me, spirituality is really traveling and seeing how other people and cultures live. And I think that's, I'm going to kind of veer right into the second part of your question, which is my work that I do in South Africa is, I think, what keeps all of it grounded for me. And it's a huge part in my soul being healthy. That's the stuff that makes me realize there is really nothing to bitch about, because in perspective, life is really good.
Charlize, have you had to do a lot of work to lose your South African accent? I mean, I'm from Pretoria, and...
Hoe gaan het?
Lekker, lekker, baie lekker.
Praat jy nog 'n bietjie Afrikaans? Oh, you're English South African.
Yes.
I don't like you.
Yeah. I only speak Afrikaans when I don't want my kids to find out what I'm talking about.
Exactly, exactly.
And do you slip back into an Afrikaans accent with your mother?
Yeah, when I go there and I speak a lot, like every day. I mean, I speak Afrikaans every single day because my mom lives 2 minutes away from me, and I just feel weird speaking English to her. I'm playing a character or something. But I definitely, when I go back, yeah, I come back to Los Angeles and people they're like, oh, you were just in South Africa. Like, definitely, yes. You know, I get a little bit of that little South African thing going, but you wouldn't understand that, broer, because you speak English South African.
When you were talking about young adults, it sounded as though you'd had some input into the finished script. I just wondered how many times you take a script or accept to do a script and then have some input and make some changes to what you originally accept to do. Do you have much input?
I actually didn't, and so if I gave that impression, I want to correct that. Diablo Cody wrote this script exactly how it is in the film. What I was saying was more that I didn't want them to change it. I mean, I went through a massive rewriting process on Snow White and the Huntsman. I think that this idea that the words are so sacred and that you're expecting an actor to do something that doesn't feel natural, that doesn't feel right, it kind of goes against what you're trying to do, which is to make it as seamless as possible. So it always depends. It's always been kind of different.
Well, thank you for your questions. I've got one final question for you, which is that evil queen. She doesn't have an Afrikaans accent or an American accent. She has an English accent.
I know, I'm doing my first British accent.
What is it about evil and the English accent, or the British accent?
Yeah, I am doing my first British accent, and it's so perfect for her. So hopefully I pulled it off, and I did not let you guys down.
Well, I'm sure you didn't. We'll very much look forward to seeing that next year, and young adults shortly as well. But in the meantime, thank you for your questions. And Charlize Theron, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.